Mark here. Recently my fan in the Kirby broke, so I had to replace it. Thought we'd make a video on it. Here's the parts, the fan assembly, and I'll put a link down where you can find that part, get it. Here we have my G4 Kirby. Have the bag off, have the carpet attachment off, and now we're going to take off the scuff plate. There's two screws that hold that in, one down there. And also this one here, this also holds the wire in. So I'm going to take that off. Clear that. There's the button to remove the handle. We'll push that in. Handle should pull out easily. And we'll set that aside. Scuff plate just pops right off of there. There we go. Two screws on the back. This is the cover shell we'll be taking off next. Some of these screws are Phillips and some are, I think they're T10 or T20. Different models will have different screws. All these models apparently are pretty much the same for dismantling. Now spin it around. There's two more screws we have to take out here to remove the cover shell. They're right up on top. Point them out here in a second. I already took the old fan out and had thrown it away when I decided to make a video. Got the new parts. So just for demonstration here, I put some of the new parts back in and we'll be taking it apart. Now these screws might be a little bit tighter for you as you take them out. I've already had these out, so they've been loosened up and looks pretty easy. Just remember, when taking these screws out, use a good screwdriver, one that fits well, and try not to strip out the head. Okay, we'll get that screw out, and now the cover shell should just lift right off of there. And there you have it. Now we're to the, they call this part the fan case. Just pointing out the screws there. 5 of them. Now notice the top ones on this particular model, the G4, using a Phillips. And the two bottom ones, they're going to be the T20, I believe it was. Hey, don't work. Okay, get the other screwdriver. Get them out of there. Now for comparison, I'm going to show you. The top ones are longer, the bottom ones are shorter. So when you're putting it back together, try to keep your screws straight, what goes where. And one more to go here. Gotta get the Phillips back. Or is it the T20? Oh, no. T20? Now this fan case is put on with a sealer. I've already broken this loose, so it's going to come apart fairly easy for me. Take a screwdriver or some other thing that you can pry it loose with. And it might be a little tight there, but it'll come. Pull it off. And there's the fan. Now to remove the fan, we have to take off the belt shaft. That's the belt shaft. There's a little hole in there, and that's screwed right onto the motor shaft. So we have to screw that off the motor shaft. I'm going to use an Allen wrench, whatever you can find to fit through that little hole. And this has got a reverse thread, so you unscrew it clockwise. We'll get that back in there. Okay, here we go. Unscrew it clockwise, holding the fan tight to the fan case. Now if you have a problem there that you can't hold that fan tight enough or that the motor shaft turns when you're trying to take off that shaft, there's another way to get that off. We'll show you later. So take off the little washer, it'll be a washer, pull the fan off. There'll be a plastic washer under that. Take that off. Then there's a spacer with a rubber seal. And just take that apart so you can see. Okay, set that aside. Now what we're going to do is we're going to clean off any of that old sealer that was still on your fan case there. And on the cover shell there'll be some too, so clean that all off. I had most of it cleaned off already. Get that scraped off of there. Okay, now we're all set to put this all back together. We take the spacer with the seal on it. That's just going to go right on the motor shaft. Seal first. And it just pushes up against there. It doesn't have to hook in or go in or anything. So here's how that seal is put onto the spacer. The thick side of the seal goes against the flange on the spacer. And then as we put it on, the seal goes in first. Now we'll put our plastic washer on. Put the fan back on. Steel washer. Metal, whatever it is. And then we'll put our belt shaft back on. Now remember we took it off clockwise, goes back on counterclockwise. Now I had a little trouble here now putting this back on to snug it up. Now we're going to show you what's going to happen here. Okay. Now if you had trouble getting that off, this is how you could have done it. You could have got back there, held that drive belt in place, and tried it that way. You know, just snug it up. We don't want that too tight, but just snug it up by hand. Now if we had trouble getting that shaft on or off, what we're going to have to do is take the frame off so we can get right at where the motor is. And there's a place there where we could put a wrench. I'm not going to show that in the video, but there'll be a link below for all the steps to this where you can see how that's done. So we got that back together. Looking good, cleaned out. We're going to put our sealer back on. This is some stuff I had when I put a sink in. It's a little bit thick, but it should work for me. Remember, we don't want to glue this together. All we want to do is put a sealer on there. So don't use no permanent glue. We might have to take this apart again. The other thing is be careful we don't get the sealer into the screw holes. You might want to get them out sometime, and if that stuff sets up, it might be hard to get them out. So here we are. We're going to finish putting this on. And I'm going to put this thing back together and almost make a mistake here. Almost forgot something. See if you can see what's missing. Thank goodness I realized it before I got it all together. Been there, done that. And it's no fun. Oh, there we go. There. Just putting that plastic part back in. That's the exhaust chute there. All your dirt goes up to the bag. Now, I'll put her back together. Could set this right up on end so you can bring that straight down. I want to try to get that on without messing up your seal, your material that you put on there. Remember we put the long screws, go back up on top, screws or bolts. And baby's back in there. Speed this up a little bit. Not really that fast. Bottom one's back in. Whoops. I had the screwdriver. Yeah. I usually don't tighten these all the way up until I get them all back in there. That way if the thing has to move a little bit, you got that option. There we go. And one more to go.
That's simple, huh?
Well, there's a few things I go back and look up. And the wife just asked me a question. And that's what the background noise was. Nope, wrong screw. Get the right one. There we go. Tighten them up. A lot of grunting and wheezing going on there. Okay. Wipe off the excess that might have squeezed out. Cover shell back on, 2 screws in the front. Okay, spin it around, 2 screws in the back. Put those back in there. And put the scuff plate back on. 1 screw down there to hold it on. It's going to snap into place there at that little rectangular hole is. It's kind of like a clip that clips back down. And that screw is different than the other ones. You have to either use a flat screwdriver or I think looks like a torque on there or something, but don't have any of those screwdrivers. That back on. I'm going to clip the handle back in. Put the wire holder back on. There we go. Kind of snaps down in there. And we're almost ready. Give her a test run. Put the bag back on. Should know how to do all this already. Snap that on. Hook her up. Didn't want to throw no dirt on the floor, so we'll just use a little paper scraps to make sure that it's sucking it up like it should. something you should be able to do with a Kirby. It should be able to pick the carpet actually up off the pad a little bit.